4 balls, and she's like, no, 5, and it's like an argument about balls, and I was like, what is going on? Hey, I'm Luke Newton, and I'm going to be taking you round in a cab ride today to see my favourite places in London.
Well, first of all, where are we going today, first off?
So I went to the London School of Musical Theatre when I was 18, I think. And actually it's just here, it's here on the left. And there's probably classes going on right now, which is really cool. I should have messaged and said, like, can everyone come outside and wave? But yeah, oh my God, here's like Tops Pizza, which we used to get pizza on in our break. I didn't know these places were still here. So yeah, that was a trip down memory lane for me to see LSMT, because I haven't been sort of here in a really long time. I lived really locally, and that was like my first experience of like living away from home and trying to cope in London, I guess.
That's really young.
Yeah.
To move to London, particularly.
Yeah, it didn't really feel it at the time. It felt like, because I'd worked on a TV show the year before called The Cut for BBC Switch, and I was 17, and I used to get the train up to London like every few days, and I remember like just eating Muller rice because I like was 17 and didn't know how to cook, and I thought I was living the life. I literally was like, this is incredible, I'm like traveling up to London.
And then so obviously you were in TV as a teenager and then went to drama school. Was acting always the dream?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I booked the job in on The Cut, when I was 17, I was doing an amateur production of Billy Elliot where I played Tony, who's like Billy's older brother. And then an agent came to watch me and said, I've got an audition on Friday if you want to go for this TV job. And I'd never even considered TV and film really, I just wanted to be a musical theatre actor. So I just went, I had a couple of auditions for that, booked the job, and that's when I really was like, actually, I love this part of the industry. I'd loved the naturalism of TV and screen acting and the subtleties of it. So yeah, that's when I was like, I want to go to drama school and get my solid training in like my vocal training, because I always loved to sing, I still sing, and then I knew that from then I'd want to explore TV and film.
So what's the timeline for you in terms of finishing school?
Yeah,
and then
I actually was still at the London School of Musical Theatre when I was auditioning for a show called The Book of Mormon. Looking back now, if I did the audition now, I'd be terrified, but there was something about how naive I was that I was just like, well, it's just another audition, like it's just a West End show. I didn't really appreciate how crazy it was to be involved in that show. They actually called my headmaster because I was in a class. He called me downstairs and I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble. Like I thought, he knows that I've like bunked off ballet or something. I was like, what's going to happen here? And then he just got in and said, the casting team have called and they want to offer you. So to which point I didn't really react. I was just like, oh God, this is really overwhelming. I was like, I need to just ring my mum. Like my first call was like, ring my mum. Rung my mum and I couldn't even get it out. I was literally like just bawling, and she was obviously terrified. She was like, my son's living in London, I haven't heard from him in a week, and he calls me in tears, like what's going on?
when you weren't in Mormon,
where
were you working?
I did another show, which was a profit share production of Loserville. And then after that, I filmed my Disney show. And then things after that kind of dried up a little bit for a while. A lot of actors don't talk about that side of stuff. They're always like, we talk about, you know, the success and when things are going well. But there was a time when I wasn't booking any work. I was trying to transition from being a musical theatre actor to a TV actor. And I worked on a bar. I worked on the front of house bar at Phantom of the Opera at Her Majesty's Theatre. But I worked there for quite a while because I worked there before I did the Disney show, and then not long after the Disney show I kind of went back there. I just loved it. I loved working on the bar. I didn't want to be in like the theatre like watching the show every night because I didn't want to take like the magic of theatre away, you know, by seeing something over and over and over again. I was working there when I found out I'd booked Bridgerton, which was just like mad. I remember I was going to like audition after audition after audition. This is when I lived in South London. I was living on my mate's sofa bed, like in his front room. I hadn't heard about Bridgerton or anything for like 3 months, so I was like, well, I've ticked that one off the list. I kind of like give it a couple of months and I'm like, well, I'm not involved in that anymore. And then my agent called me and said, we've got an offer in for Bridgerton to play Colin. And I was like, what? I haven't even heard, like I knew I was in the finals, but that was 3 months ago. So what's like, and then she kind of talked me through the details and I was getting more and more excited, but I had no idea it was gonna, you know, blow up like it did.
Good one, Colin. Yes.
I think we're about to pass Phantom now. And I love coming past this place because it reminds me of how your life can change just in like 3 years. It's crazy.
And what was the Bridgerton process like? Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, so I originally read for the Duke, the character the Duke, and it's the scene where the Duke and Daphne are walking and they're negotiating how many balls he's going to take her to. And out of context, it's really weird to read that scene because he's just like, 4 balls, and she's like, no, 5. And it's like an argument about balls. And I was like, what is going on? Then I had to read the entire script. I was like, okay, I totally understand what's going on now. It's just very odd. Next up came the audition for Colin, and that's when I read one of the episodes and I was like, this is the part for me. This is like, if we're moving forward with this project, this is the part I need to be considered for. And yeah, I kind of just fell in love with the Bridgerton family and my role within that.
At what point did you meet the other Bridgerton, what is now the cast, during the process?
We did a day with Jack Murphy, our choreographer. I didn't know who was playing who, so it was really difficult for me because I was like, I don't know if you work for the Bridgertons or if you are the Featherington or if you're the Queens. It was really difficult. And I think maybe later that day or the next day we did a table read of like one of the first episodes, which is like something that I've YouTubed forever, like seeing like the Game of Thrones cast do a read through and watching everyone's reactions, or like so many shows that I'd seen the read through process and I'd never really been a part of it to that scale. So to come into a room and there's like 100 people around this massive table and we're all just reading our characters. I was really nervous actually. I was like, is my line even going to come out? Am I going to just have this like squeak? During the read-throughs, obviously we know what's going on, but for me, like, I really take everything in when I see it in person. So that's actually my favourite part of rewatching the show. Is like not my stuff at all. It's like watching everyone else's stuff that I wasn't there for. Like the scene when Anthony and Kate are like fall over in the mud and they're just like hysterically laughing. I'm like, that's a bit of them in real life. I can see that, and I love seeing little moments of like real, of the actual person within that part. It's great. When Charithra walked down the aisle, for the first time we hadn't rehearsed it, and I think that was planned. Like, I think the director was like, let's not let anyone see this because we'll get some genuine, like, really nice reactions. I definitely had like such a lump in my throat, and then I thought Colin would find this emotional because he's such a like soppy romantic. So I was like, that's fine if I do feel emotional. And then afterwards, Teresa came up to me and was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And she said, Johnny said you were crying. And I was like, well, nearly, yeah, but I'm fine.
I like that you've chosen to turn that into like, no, it's a character choice.
Yeah, I have.
No, absolutely.
I'm like, well, Colin would feel like that, so it's fine if I'm crying. Don't worry about it. Here it is, Prince of Wales Theatre, Book of Mormon, where I started post-college my musical theatre career. Amazing. Oh my God, there's Waxy O'Connor's. That's a really cool bar. I've only been there twice, but it's amazing. And it looks like The Hobbit inside. So I'd highly recommend that. Actually, my girlfriend, she was in Les Mis when I was in Book of Mormon. So we used to go to the same coffee shop, but we never met. Here is Balance. You can get food there at any time of the day and all night as well. So majority of the time, like the classic night out would be end up in Freedom and then 3-4 in the morning crawl out and go into Balance and get like breakfast food. But actually I go to Balance like in the day. Everyone thinks I'm really weird, but like I went to see Harry Potter, the play, The Cursed Child, and between shows I was like, what do I do for food? Like, well, I didn't know anywhere around here. And I was like, Balance is like my go-to. So I was in there in the middle of the day having a coffee and a breakfast. I was like, this is the dream.
And what about food in Soho, apart from Balance?
Yeah.
What do you...
I like Chinese food, so Chinatown, like there's so many places, and like I'm a big foodie, so if it's all you can eat, that's like a dream for me.
Is there a Bridgerton Brothers WhatsApp group?
Yeah, so it's called Bridgerton Bros. When we had a lot of time on season 1, we would do songs together, like sing like 3-part harmony. Luke's very musical, so he would like write out harmonies for each of us. And I would always take the melody because it was the easiest job. Johnny would like take the top line, Luke would take the bottom line, and we just like worked on songs. And at first I think it was like really charming and the crew kind of loved it, and then after like 6 hours of it, they'd be like, oh my God, we've heard this song like 50 times. But yeah, so originally the group was for that, so that we could send like harmonies to each other, and then since then it's just like a regular thing that we check in on most days, just seeing how everyone's getting on. Hippodrome, that's a good one for all night. Hippodrome Casino. They do like gigs in there, so like a lot of musical theatre actors will like do shows in there of like their own material or like show tunes they'll sing in there. So I've been to loads of nights in there where I see like friends of mine that are doing their own concerts and stuff. And it's 24-hour, casinos all 24-hour. That's what I kind of love about London is like, you know that Frank Sinatra song that's about New York, that's like the city that never sleeps. Like parts of London are definitely like that, and it's one of my favourite things because I'm like, I can get food at any time of the night. Yeah.
You're really musical, right? So like,
yeah.
Do you go to like live music?
I haven't in a long time, just because of like what's been going on in the world. But yeah, definitely before. A good friend of mine who I met on the Lodge is now a massive music artist called Youngblood. So like we used to go to a lot of his gigs, especially when he was up and coming. Like we used to go to like small venues in like Camden or Brixton and watch him.
You have like really successful friends.
It's mad.
Oh yeah, my best friend's in just leading.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Or, like, Youngblood.
But I always met people that were like that, and I was like, that never happens really, does it? And then like eventually you just meet people. Here we are. At Waterloo. And actually, oh my God, I got a picture I wanted to show you. Ruth sent it yesterday. It's at Waterloo Station, which I'm going to go and check out now. It's Bridgerton on the thing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Can't wait. Might go get a selfie underneath it.
Imagine it's enormous.
Yeah, it is the whole
thing.
That's going to be great. I'm Luke Newton from Bridgerton. Thanks for joining me on my cab ride around London. See you later.